1971, a man named John List in Westfield, New Jersey, lost his job. But he kept this information from his family, from his wife and children. So he knew this information and they didn't. And he watched them continue to live as though nothing had changed, because for them, nothing had. As far as they knew, everything was going on just as it had before. And he said in a letter that he wrote that year that he would go each day to the train station while his family thought he was just going to work. And during that time, he began to think that it would be better for his family to not be alive anymore. He thought it would be better for their lives to end than for them to realize that dad had lost his job and to live in not poverty, but just less luxury than they had previously. To admit that they had fallen on hard times. And so he decided and stated in that same letter, quote, "I decided that was the best option. Doing so would shield them from inevitable suffering," end quote. What a morbid mindset. And so John List plotted and carried out the deaths of his mother, his wife, their daughter, and their 2 sons. And in that confession letter, it was evident that he knew it was wrong to do so. He admitted as much, but somehow convinced himself that killing them would be better than them experiencing poverty. He may have even thought of these words that we just read from Ecclesiastes 4, "The dead are more fortunate than the living." He was a religious man. His confession letter was actually addressed to his pastor. The irony was that John himself went on to build a whole new life. He went to another state, married a new person, lived under another name, and went undetected for 18 years until June of 1989, when he was tracked down after his story was broadcast on America's Most Wanted. You may hear a story like that and wonder, like so many before us have wondered, if God is real, why is there such suffering and evil in the world? Why this oppression? Why is power on the side of the oppressor? Why? What's the point? If you've experienced the kind of oppression Solomon refers to here in Ecclesiastes 4, this may be a familiar question. Maybe you've been on the receiving end of suffering and oppression, and the only somewhat comforting thought that occurred to you was, this must mean God isn't there. Or its even less comforting cousin, God exists, but he's not good. But I would suggest that the existence of suffering and evil in the world is in fact one of the strongest arguments not only for God's existence, but also for his goodness. How can that be?